Hi everyone, it's me. Welcome to today's video. We are going to be choosing our May TBR today. As usual, we have our TBR jar. Hold on, we need to do our monthly little mix. So I genuinely love how this wand actually gets used once every month now. I have finally found the perfect way to utilize this wand. There's a cat fluff in there. Literally just a bundle of cat fluff in my TBR jar. And that's life of a cat mom, you guys. But let's put our wand away. And so yeah, as usual, I'm gonna be picking 5 books for my May TBR. But because I did promise that this month I would let you guys help me choose as well, for each prompt, I'm gonna be choosing 2 books. And then I'm gonna post little polls on my Instagram story so you guys can go vote over there. To make things fun, I do like to make the polls blind. So you know when you color over the book to hide it and just put a few emojis to describe what book it is. I just find it a lot more fun to do it that way. So that's what we're gonna be doing. And then tomorrow, when the polls are finished, I will go through the results and we'll see what our final picks are. So without further ado, let's pick our first prompt. I definitely hope we get some spring reading vibes. I think in April we actually got a lot of good spring picks, but the weather was kind of off and on. It was raining a lot, it was hot some days, it was cold again some days, so it honestly didn't really feel like spring. But I feel like May is going to start really feeling like spring, just looking at the weather forecast ahead. So I'm definitely now in the mood for more true spring vibes. So let's see if we can pick things that are truly good spring reads. I do want to take a second to talk to you about my favorite way to grow my TBR and to find new reads. You guys probably already know what it is, but that is Book of the Month. And I would love to thank Book of the Month so much for sponsoring today's video. You guys know I am a regular Book of the Month member. I have been subscribed for a year and a half maybe, or even close to 2 years possibly, and I absolutely love this service. Book of the Month, if you don't know, is a book subscription service. Let me just show you the books I got this month, because there are always so many good picks. I feel like every time I receive this blue box in the mail every single month, I get so excited, but I am particularly excited for these ones. The first book I got is actually by a new author. This might be a debut author actually, and that is actually something I love about Book of the Month, is that they are so good at introducing you to new authors. Maybe they are debut authors, or just introducing you to other authors that you may or may not have picked up yourself naturally. This is a literary fiction, and the premise of this book sounds so good. So unique and unlike any other book I've ever read before. We follow Cora in this book, who is a mother. She has I think she's recently had a child, and so she takes her new son to get his name registered. She has a couple of options because her husband, who is really well known in their community, but also can be very controlling at home, has insisted to her hey, you have to name him after me. And she's kind of I don't know if I want to do this. So when she gets to the point to register her son's name, there are 3 different options. And from this point in the story, we stem into 3 different branches of alternate realities or alternate endings, alternate stories, where each possible choice that she could have named her son turns into this complete different story, this complete different life. And we span over 35 years following her and her son and her family's lives, and we see how that one little decision could change their lives so drastically. Doesn't that sound so interesting? That sounds so intriguing to me. This has just jumped straight up to the top of my TBR. That is my first pick for May. And then for my add-on that I got this month, I chose The Love Haters by Catherine Center. Catherine Center is a romance author that I do really like. Actually, Catherine Center is another author that I have discovered through Book of the Month. It was the rom-commers by her that I found through Book of the Month originally, but this is her new release this month. This one we follow a video producer, Katie. I think she enters in a reality show where she has to swim, one of those lifeguard shows. But the big problem is she doesn't know how to swim. So she arrives, she meets, what's the guy's name? Tom Hutchison, that is the rescue swimmer. We go on this romance with the 2 of them. We have a lifeguard beach setting, and this just sounds like the perfect summer read. So that's Love Haters by Catherine Center. This was my add-on for the month. And that is something I do love about Book of the Month, is you do have flexibility in it. So every month, Book of the Month chooses about 5 books for you to choose from for like your main book that month. If you find you aren't interested in any of the selections that month, it's super easy to skip that month. You won't be charged and you can just resume the next month. And the other thing I love is you can add on to your Book of the Month. So if there's more than one book that's calling to you from this month's selection, or if there's something from the Book of the Month backlist that you see and you really, really want, you can add those onto your box as well. And there's just a whole lot of other cool things offered by Book of the Month, like a reader's guarantee, where if you choose a book and then you end up really, really not liking it, you can actually replace it in your next month's box for free. And also, as you continue to be a long-term Book of the Month member, there are a lot of loyalty perks and all that fun stuff that come along with it. So there's just a lot to love. If you are interested, head over to bookofthemonth.com and you can join Book of the Month and pick your May book. And for a limited time, you can join and actually get your first book for $5 using the code BOUQUET. And you also get a free, really cute, like bookish hat. I'm gonna pop a photo of the hats on screen here. I think they're adorable. I really, really want one of these hats too. So if you've been eyeing Book of the Month because I just nonstop talk about them, now's your time. It's your time to shine and join. Thank you so much to Book of the Month for sponsoring this video. Let's get on with our May TBR. The first prompt is a book you have had for a long time. A few come to mind. Looking at this bottom shelf, oh my gosh, Tom Lake for sure I've had for a very, very long time. I bought this sometime last year and still have not gotten to it. So Tom Lake by Ann Patchett, definitely a good option. Also, give spring, look at the flowers, and a lot of you guys have told me this is a really good spring read as well. Oh no, this book has deckled edges. If you guys have been here for a while, you know that I do not like this style of edge. It just makes, like, I don't mind the look of it, but I feel like it hinders my ability to turn a page. Like, to grab, isolate a single page. Huffy's making a smoothie. To grab a single page and to just like be able to flip it, it takes longer. So we'll just have to get over that. But I do really want to read this book, so that's definitely a really good option. Oh my gosh, this book, it's so deep in there in my TBR. It's hard to get out. Hold on. What the River Knows, I have had for so long on my physical TBR. This is the start to a duology. I think the second book has already been released. It's been that long. And I've been curious about this one. Obviously, I picked it out and bought it, so obviously I'm curious about it, but for some reason it just hasn't been the book that I have reached for. But this is like a mummy vibes romantasy, I'm pretty sure, which sounds so interesting and unique to anything I've ever read before, but for some reason I've never picked this one up. And another option I think has to be Daughter of the Moon Goddess by Sue Lynn Tan. I know you guys have been screaming at me to pick this one up, and just from like knowing the types of books I like, I feel like I'm going to love this. I also have the second book in this duology already on my physical TBR, so like I'm ready to go. I feel like this definitely has to be an option as well. Now, should I be strategic about this and put Tom Lake and Daughter of the Moon Goddess up against each other? Or do I want to pair something like this and then hope that you guys choose this one? I'm gonna do these two. I think this is gonna be an interesting battle of the duologies. I think these are also both YA, but obviously very different vibes. So I'm gonna pit these two against each other. I don't want these two to be in the same category because I honestly really want both of these to be on my May TBR, so I don't want to like put them against each other and then like know for sure that one of them is already going to lose. You know what I mean? So I'm kind of rigging the system here, but we're gonna do these two for a book that I've had for a very long time. All right, Tom Lake, you're going back. Hopefully we pick another prompt where this one fits. Prompt number 2. Ooh, okay. Question as the title. That's kind of a fun one. Okay. Questions. That's not a question. That's not a question. Oh no, none of these are really questions. Let's keep going. Oh. I genuinely do not have any books that fall under this prompt. The only one that came close to this prompt is actually What the River Knows, but we've already selected this for our first prompt, so I think I'm gonna have to do another prompt. I don't think that's gonna work. I don't think I've ever failed at a prompt like that before, but there's a first for everything. I genuinely have nothing nothing that is a question. So this one says first great sentence. I think this just means like a book with a really captivating first sentence. So this means I'm gonna have to open up a couple books. I don't think I'm going to open up every single book behind me and read every single first sentence because that's gonna take so long. But let's just maybe pick a couple that I like right off the bat am very interested in. What is the first sentence of Tom Lake actually, since we have just had that out? That Veronica and I were given keys and told to come early on a frozen Saturday in April to open the school for the Our Town auditions was proof of our dull reliability. I don't know if that's fully captivated me, unfortunately. That's kind of, it's not the most interesting sentence to open up a book, you know what I mean? So unfortunately, I don't think this is the one. What else is high on my radar? Oh, Promise Me Sunshine is actually really high on my radar because I read Ready or Not last month. Absolutely loved it. It was my first Cara Bastone book and I just am itching to read more from her. So let's see what this opening sentence is. The baby will not stop judging me. It's a very short, simple sentence, but why is it pulling me in? So that's an option. Cara Bastone seems to absolutely love writing about babies, so love that for her. Should we do like a Firefly Lane maybe? I feel like Kristen Hanna knows how to open a book. They used to be called the Firefly Lane Girls. Yeah, that's not the most captivating either, is it? Shark Heart, maybe? I feel like this book has been like advertised as kind of a weird book, so maybe the first sentence is kind of strange and pulls you in. Okay, wow, interesting. The first page, the first sentence is not actually chapter 1, but called scene 1, and it seems to be in like a script dialogue format. So the first line is by Lewis. In the early days after I left New York, I would ruminate, doubt all my choices. Oh, that's a period. That's it. That's the first sentence. I don't know if that's a slappy first sentence. Should we look at this like continuation of series? Maybe Daisy Hates. I roll over and rest my chin on his chest. That's not really that interesting either. Why is this prompt so hard right now? Do we do, okay, let's keep going with the series. Rule of Wolves by Leigh Bardugo. Maki Kirtaban, born of heaven, was a queen from a long line of queens. I don't know. Maybe Frederick Bachman? Maybe Frederick Bachman is the one to go for. Have you ever seen a town fall? Oh, I feel like that one's pretty good. Another like really short but simple one that just like puts you straight into the story. It's intriguing, you want to know, and I also just want to continue reading the series. So I think we're going to do these two, which are very vastly different books, but Promise Me Sunshine and Us Against You for first interesting line. That was really hard, you guys. I hope the other prompts are not so difficult. I don't want another green one. Let's do pink. Ooh, okay. This one's gonna be easy. Standalone. Plain old standalone. Let's do Tom Lake because I am really eyeing this one this month. Like, I seriously want to read this one. What's another standalone we could do? I've been really curious at Recursion by Blake Crouch. Also Firefly Lane by Kristen Hanna. Ooh, that would be kind of a good, interesting matchup. I feel like that would be a good battle. I've wanted to read Homeseeking as well by Carissa Chen, I think. Oh my gosh, and I still haven't gotten to this new Adrienne Young. I feel like Homeseeking is really grabbing me right now. I think we're gonna do these two just based off vibes. I also have not been describing any of the books to you in this TBR video. I apologize, but we can start here. Tom Lake is set in the spring of 2020. Laura's 3 daughters return to the family's orchard in northern Michigan, and while picking cherries, they beg their mother to tell them the story of Peter Duke, a famous actor whom she shared both a stage and a romance years before at a theater company called Tom Lake. And I think this book is just filled with family stuff, love stuff, spring vibes, and this just sounds like perfect for this month. And then similarly, Homeseeking by Carissa Chen is also like a very feelings book, like a very sentimental book. This one is about Hai Wen and Suchi, who had a childhood friendship that blossomed into some sort of a romance, like a very, very deep love, but they got separated when Hai Wen was secretly enlisted in the Nationalist Army in 1947. So they haven't seen each other in 6 60 years, and then they run into each other in like a market in LA 60 years later. And that just sounds so good. Never read anything by this author before, also never read anything from Anne Patchett before, so this is gonna be a really interesting matchup, I think. Wow, I've barely pulled fantasy with these picks. Maybe I'm feeling more like lit fic, contemporary fic, romance this month, which is so rare for me because you guys know I am first and foremost a fantasy girly. Ooh, look, we have an orange prompt, the rare orange prompt. This says a book with a number in the title. Numbers, numbers, numbers. Ooh, The Vanishing Half. Does half count as a number? I feel like that like half counts, so if I can't find any other good ones, that could be one. That's interesting. Four Ruined Realms by Mai Corlin. I have been wanting to read this book as a continuation in the series. This is the second book in the Five Broken Blades trilogy, and the third book is actually coming out later this year as well. But I really enjoyed the first book. It wasn't perfect, but I found it to be just like really, really fun to read. It's advertised as a romantasy, but it kind of felt more of just like a fantasy to me, like a heist type of a fantasy, because we're following a group of like assassin type people who like can't trust each other, but they have to form this team to assassinate the enemy king. I've been wanting to get into this one, and it has a number in the title, so maybe this is the month to read it. But do I have another title with a number? I found one. Okay, One Last Stop by Casey McQuiston. Again, very different vibes here, but it has the number 1 in the title, obviously. I've only read Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston, but this one intrigues me because there's a bit of magical realism involved as well. I think the two of them, when they hop onto this subway together, they like travel in time or something, and they can only meet each other while on this subway. And so yeah, 2 books with a number in the title. Okay, let's do one more. Oh. Oh, sad book, which, if you guys know me, is actually a great thing because I do love books that make me cry. I'm looking at you, Firefly Lane by Kristen Hanna. While not all her books have made me physically shed a tear, all of her books have made me come close. Kristen Hanna is definitely one that always succeeds in tugging at my heartstrings and emotions, and I'm excited about this one. This is a book that I myself want to go into a little bit blind just because I know Kristen Hanna and I love her and I trust her with my life to give me a good reading experience. I don't need to know anything going into this book. I am already convinced to read it just because Kristen Hanna wrote it, but all I know really is that this is about 2 friends that grow up together. And this book will probably highlight the strength of women because that is also what Kristen Hanna does in all her books. And then the other one, what else is going to be a sad read? Oh, you know what? Great and Precious Things by Rebecca Yarros. I don't think I've ever gotten through a Rebecca Yarros without shedding a tear. No, actually, I didn't cry while reading Onyx Storm, but I feel like Rebecca Yarros and her contemporaries will always make me feel emotional. Again, this is another book that I kind of want to go a little bit more blind into because obviously I have read Rebecca Yarros before. I know this is probably going to do something with war or like an ex-veteran because that's what Rebecca Yarros knows and writes about. There's probably going to be some sort of a romance, and there's probably going to be someone who dies that makes me break down. So I think these 2 very successful sad book picks. And so that's all of them. Just as a recap, we have Daughter of the Moon Goddess and What the River Knows for book I've had for a long time, Promise Me Sunshine and Us Against You for book that has a good first sentence, Tom Lake and Homeseeking for standalone, Four Ruined Realms and One Last Stop for book with a number in the title, and of course Firefly Lane and Great and Precious Things for sad book. Great, these are some random pairings. I have no idea how these polls are going to go. I also don't even know if I have preferences on where these polls go. I think the only one I have very strong feelings about is I want Daughter of the Moon Goddess over What the River Knows, which makes me feel so bad because I have had What the River Knows for so long, and I still like, there is a part of me that like definitely knows that I will get to it and I want to read it, but again, I just don't know what time of the year to reach for this book. But anyways, I'm gonna post some polls on my Instagram and I will see you guys tomorrow when we have those results. Okay, Okay, 24 hours later, polls are all complete and done. So let's see what you guys chose for my May TBR. Also, you guys, if my left eye looks really, really red right now, don't mind it. Everything's fine. That just happens sometimes in the spring because allergies. We love life in the spring, but my body hates it. So my eye was actually like super, super swollen this morning, and it's gotten better as the day has passed, but this is just a normal occurrence for me in the spring. So get used to it for the next like month or so. Okay, let's see the polls. So for this first poll, for one of the books, I did a pink flower, a moon, and like a sparkly emoji. And for the other one, I did a palm tree, a grave, which was kind of random to be honest, and a skull. And 66% chose the flower, moon, and the sparkle, which thank you guys so much. This is probably actually the only poll that I had really strong feelings for one book over the other. But the palm tree, the grave, and the skull was indeed What the River Knows. The emojis are kind of weird, I know. I feel like this was the weakest emoji match for all the books in this set of polls because I was trying to find stuff that was more on theme, like stuff that's on the cover, just things that are more relevant to like mummies and Egypt and stuff. So I got a palm tree, which I don't even know is entirely correct, but there are palm trees on the cover, or palm fronds. I think they're like slightly different. And I was looking for something that was like a tomb or like a pyramid or something, and for some reason I could not find emojis for those. So that's why I settled on the grave. And then instead of a mummy, I couldn't find a mummy, so I found a skull. So I can admit this was a bit of a failure, but oh, maybe I could have done like a crocodile. Maybe that would have worked for this book. Could have done that, but I didn't. And What the River Knows, it was not selected anyways. That makes the winner the flower, the moon, and the sparkle, Daughter of the Moon Goddess, which I'm definitely really happy about. I think you guys will be happy to see this on my May TBR as well, because I know you guys have been screaming at me to read this book. And I'm so excited it finally made it onto the TBR. Perfect spring read. Me with my little red swollen eye. I feel like this one's gonna be really like fairy tale, enchanting. Obviously a lot of Asian mythology tie-ins included with it, I'm hoping. Daughter of the Moon Goddess. Let's look at the second one. Okay, so the losing book had the sun, a little like fingers crossed, and a baby bottle, but 62% chose the hockey, snow, and bear emojis, and I think you guys all know what this one was. The losing book was indeed Promise Me Sunshine by Carabas Stone. I put the sun in there for sunshine, I put the fingers crossed for promise, and then I put the baby bottle because I read in the plot synopsis that there has something to do with babysitting in this book, so baby theme. But I am so excited for the one that you guys chose with 62% because you probably have guessed Us Against You by Frederick Bachman. I feel like I need to dive into this one sooner rather than later before I start forgetting all the character names and stuff because there are so many POVs. I'm super, super excited about this one. So thank you for picking this one for me. That's the second book on our May TBR. Over to the third poll. This one was definitely a bit closer. The losing book had 47% and the winning book had 53%. So that's only 6% apart. That is pretty dang close. The Yellow Flower, The Little Family, and The Wave was Tom Lake by Ann Patchett. This one may have been a little bit misleading as well, but I was trying to find like little white flowers to match, but I couldn't. So I did a little yellow flower. That was the closest that I found. I did the little family emoji because this book is about a family, like a mother and her 3 daughters talking about their father. So it seems to have a lot of family theme. And I couldn't find anything that was like a lake because Tom Lake, so I did The Wave, which may have made this book seem more of like a beachy read. Definitely not. I don't even know if there's an actual lake involved in the story or if his name is just Tom Lake, but this one did not make it, unfortunately. But the one that did make it, Homeseeking. So I did the palm tree because there is obviously a palm tree on this cover. The flag of China because I think part of the story takes place in China, like some of the flashbacks definitely. And then the little heart with the wound over it with the bandage because I feel like there's definitely some sort of heartbreak in this book, but I think we get pieced back together. I think this one's gonna be an emotional read for sure. Fourth poll, you guys were super, super sure about this one. So only 28% voted for the one, the train, and the stop sign, and 72% voted for the 4, the blade, and the ninja. So the one, the train, the stop sign is in fact One Last Stop by Casey McQuiston. So 1 obviously for the 1 in the title, the train because the entire story, or I don't know if the entire story, but a major part of the story takes place on the subway, and the stop sign because stop, one last stop. But that was not selected. The one that was selected was 4 Ruined Realms. So we have the 4 obviously in the title. We have the blade because, I mean, the first book was called 5 Broken Blades, but there are, oh, you know what? There's not even blades on the cover. It's like arrows or spears or something. But I feel like overall this book just has like blade, sword, stabby vibes. And then the ninja emoji because it was the closest thing to like an assassin, and we have a lot of assassin type characters in this book. So I feel like that just fit the vibe, and this is the book you guys chose. On our last poll, but definitely not our least poll, we have these 2 blue-ish books. The winner had 66%, the loser had 34%, and the loser with the boot, the ice, and the crying emoji is Great and Precious Things by Rebecca Yarrow. I thought the boot was super fitting. Obviously the ice because we are on some sort of like a frozen lake, and I just put the crying person because I know that when the time comes for me to read this book, it'll very likely make me cry. The book that was indeed chosen, I think a lot of you guys are gonna be happy with this choice as well, was Firefly Lane by Kristen Hanna. So I put the yellow flower because for some reason I was convinced that these little yellow dots on the cover were flowers, but clearly they're fireflies. I shouldn't have put a flower there. That was my mistake. I probably should have used the sparkle emoji, to be honest. I put the 2 hands making a heart. I thought this was a cute idea because I know this book revolves around 2 friends, and with the 2 hands making the heart, I'm like, it could be like one hand from one friend, one hand from the other, and like they're doing a little heart together. I don't know. I thought that was cute. And then the little like nostalgic, sad, but happy looking kind of a face, because I feel like Kristen Hanna's books make me feel this exact emotion. Firefly Lane is the 5th book. This is the final TBR for May. I'm really, really excited about this one. Definitely a good mix of genres. We have 4 Ruined Realms and Daughter of the Moon Goddess in there as both sort of like Asian inspired romantasy fantasy books. Love to see that. And we have 3 books that will likely make me cry. So we are going to have an emotional May. Love that for us. And this is the pile of rejected books for this time around. Maybe they'll still be read. Maybe they'll get selected for next month. Who knows? But there we have it. That is our May TBR. Thank you for helping me choose these books. Thank you for participating. If you guys missed this round, definitely follow me on Instagram. That's where I post all of my polls and just like a lot more community engagement stuff, I guess. There we have it. That is our May TBR. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave me a like and a comment. If you don't know what to comment down below, let me know what is on your May TBR. If you like me, subscribe, do that bell thing, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!